So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. You back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Monday, October 18th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Monday, October 18th here today, coming off another big weekend in sports. We got hockey is back. We had some NFL action. The NBA starts off tomorrow, and of course the continuation of the MLB playoffs. So a lot of sports were on over the weekend, a lot to recap, a lot to get to, and really a lot tonight, a lot tomorrow, and a lot throughout the week. As really right now, there's all four of the major sports are in good areas of their season. NFL reaching really the NFL and their season's in full swing. You got the NBA and NHL just starting off. NBA opening night tomorrow night. Nets versus Bucks will be tomorrow night. You got NHL just starting off. Rangers play tonight against Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. And, of course, you got the MLB playoffs, and, so it's really a great time for sports and a great time for sports fans, especially somebody like me who I am a fan of all the four sports. Although the Yankees are no longer in the playoffs, I still got the Jets, Rangers, and Nets to root for. Although the Jets were on a bye week last week, there was a lot of good NFL action yesterday. I apologize, was not able to do a pod last week. Again, I did do my game picks, still did my game picks, so I'll read you all that. I'll get to all that. A lot to get to today on the podcast. It was another very big weekend in football yesterday. A lot of really good games on. I thought that there was a lot of really, that Patriots game was good. Vikings-Panthers game was really good. Cowboys-Patriots, like I just mentioned, really good. Going into it, it really didn't seem like it was going to be a good game, but the Seahawks-Steelers wound it up being a actually very good game. So that was definitely a good one. A lot of really good NFL games yesterday. And although it kind of felt like the NFL got back to normal, the teams that should have won, they won. And the teams that should have lost, they lost. Because the first couple weeks of the season, we were seeing all these teams, Kansas City Chiefs, getting knocked off, and them 2-3 going into yesterday's game. And, the Washington starting off yesterday's game really well. Went into halftime with the lead. Kansas City took that game, took it into full control, and won. And, you look at all these different games, and it's like the NFL this week was kind of back to normal. It was like the teams who should have won, they won, and the teams who should have lost, they lost. And that kind of was the story of it over the weekend, and we saw that this weekend. I mean, it's the truth. I believe all the favorites won, except maybe the Jaguars defeating the Dolphins. I believe the Dolphins were favorites in that game. But other than that, the teams that should have won. And we haven't seen that the first couple weeks of the season. We kind of finally saw it yesterday. And tonight, the Bills are expected to win. We'll see if they get the job done. So a lot to get to today. Obviously, no Jets to talk about as they had a bye week. This upcoming week, they'll play the New England Patriots in New England. So as much as it's like it feels like we just played them and we lost badly to them, it's like we get to play the Patriots one more time. We get them done with, forget about it, and then you get the rest of the season to play all the other opponents. So we'll see how that game goes. But we'll get to the NFL recap like I always do, recapping all the NFL games. We'll get to that. Talk about the Giants and their brutal performance yet again, just coming out flat out awful performance by the New York Giants as they lose 38-11. And what's next for the New York Giants? That's the big question. I'll get to them, get to their struggles, get to their situation. They are arguably they probably are the laughingstock of the NFL right now. And I'll get to that. I'll get to the fantasy football recap, talk about all the stuff going on in fantasy. Get to tonight's stuff because actually tonight we got some pretty big news. A.J. Brown is now questionable for tonight's game with an illness. So something that was not happening throughout the week, something that just popped up within the past couple days. He's now questionable tonight. So I will give you everything I will give you my advice on it. I personally did not start A.J. Brown this week. I ended up benching him. I started Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown ended up not having a great week, but I'm going to win in that league anyway, so it doesn't really matter that I didn't start A.J. Brown because I'm going to end up winning anyway. I'm losing by 5 right now, but I still got Tannehill and I still got Tyler Bass. So the chances of me not winning are slim to none, unless if Tannehill gets me 5 points and Bass gets me none or anything. I mean, it's almost impossible. It really is. It would have to be an extremely low-scoring game. There would have to be literally no field goals for Tyler Bass and the Bills, no touchdowns. Tannehill would have to throw a ton of interceptions and barely any yards. It would have to be really bad. So we'll get to all that. Then we'll get to the New York sports update. Lots to get to. Hockey. A lot of hockey on. Rangers play again tonight. I'll talk a little bit about them. Talk about the Islanders. And then tomorrow night, we got the NBA. So I was going to give you my NBA power rankings tomorrow. I probably will. I know I didn't do my NHL power rankings. I wasn't able to do a pod that day. But still, I kind of, you probably have an idea of who I was going to put anyway in my top 10. I was going to probably do my NBA power rankings anyway. But we'll see how everything goes. I'm still deciding on all that. So I probably will do that, though. I just didn't do one for the NHL. But that's not the end of the world. Still enjoying the hockey season so far. It's been great to have hockey back. It's been awesome. I love hockey. I've always said this, hockey is one of my favorite sports to watch. And I love all the other sports, but hockey is one of the favorite. It's such a fun sport to watch. It really is. But either way, a lot to get to today. With all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so big weekend we're coming out of in the NFL, really in sports in general. We had all the NBA preseason wrapped up. Thursday, Friday. We got some games starting off tomorrow. Rest of the league, I believe, will start up on Wednesday, and then you'll really get into the season and get into the full swing of the season. Brooklyn Nets will play the Milwaukee Bucks tomorrow night. Little rematch of the second round of the playoffs last season, as we all know the way that ended. Pretty crazy, though. It really is crazy. That it literally felt like yesterday the Nets were walking off the court losers, and I was sitting there staring at my TV, not moving because I was in disbelief we lost. And now we're back and we're ready for the season. And I understand Kyrie's out and all that, but there's still that feel. There's still that expectation of we got to win a championship this year. That's the expectation. That's the goal, and ultimately that's the reason why we went out and got all these big names, was to bring a championship to the Brooklyn Nets. But that's besides the point. A lot to get to on them. I'll get to them. But let's get to the NFL first. And specifically, I don't have to bash the New York Jets this weekend. It was a weekend where I did not have to worry about the Jets. I did not have to be mad at the Jets, yell at the Jets. I was able to just chill and watch football, not worrying about anything. So, not worried about anything whatsoever. Just watching football, enjoying it. Not worried about Jets getting smoked, losing, figuring out what I want to say in the pod, all that stuff. So that was pretty enjoyable. But I do miss the Jets not playing. But either way, the other New York football team played this weekend, and that was the New York Giants. And man, oh man, is New York football right now really, really in a sad place. Because the New York Giants yesterday, what they put out there was just completely awful. Really was completely awful. I think this could very well be one of the worst, arguably one of the worst performances I've ever seen out of the New York Giants recently. I mean, they went out there and they got flat out destroyed. Now, what I will tell you is this, is the Giants yesterday, I don't think any of us went into that game expecting them to win. I don't think any of us did. There's no one expected them to go into that game and win. No way. Maybe you did. Maybe you were optimistic. Maybe you had hope. Maybe you thought the Rams were going to go out and do what they did to the Jets last season, come out flat and lose. As we all know, the Rams last season ended up losing to the Jets. Maybe somebody was expecting that. We were expecting the Giants to lose. But the Giants didn't even go out there and show any fight. They didn't even go out there and compete. They didn't even go out there. Let's just sum this up. They did not show up to MetLife Stadium yesterday to play the Los Angeles Rams. They did not show up. I don't know where they were. I don't know what they were doing. But the New York Giants were not playing football yesterday at 1 o'clock Eastern. They were not in that game at all. Their heads were not in that game. They did not come out with the right game plan. They looked terrible. I'll rework my words here. That first drive Actually, they did very good. They were working with some tempo. They kicked the field goal. Boom, they were up 3-0. But after that, everything, and I mean everything that could have went wrong for the New York Giants. We saw Daniel Jones and his turnover issues on full display yesterday as he turned the ball over a total of 4 times, 3 interceptions, and 1 fumble. And in all fairness to Daniel Jones, one of those interceptions was just not his fault. So technically, on paper, he threw 3 picks and he fumbled. And that fumble, it wasn't really his fault, but the offensive lineman didn't block for him, but it's a fumble. At the end of the day, it's a fumble, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, whatever. I will tell you this, that one interception was not on Daniel Jones. That ball that got intercepted, that was not on Daniel Jones. Sterling Shepard slipped, and it just went right into the defender's hands. He was in no man's land then. That's not on Daniel Jones. Shepard was open, he slipped, all of a sudden, defender behind him. It's just, that just happened. That's not Jones. But either way, the other 2 interceptions and the fumble, that can't happen. And I keep on going back to this with Daniel Jones. I understand he's played pretty well this year. And if you look at the numbers he has, remove last game, and he's only thrown 2 picks this season. Or maybe, I believe, has he even thrown 2 picks this season, or he's not thrown? I don't know. But either way, you remove yesterday's stats, and he's actually had a pretty good year. But yesterday's Daniel Jones reminds you of the reason why the New York Giants should move on from him at the end of this year and reset at quarterback and restart at the quarterback position. And honestly, the way that things are going for the New York Giants, there's a good chance they might have to restart with this entire organization. Because what I saw yesterday, because I watched that game, I was flipping between that and the Chargers-Ravens game, which I thought was going to be a really good game, and it wasn't. That game wasn't even close. 34-6. Ravens came out and whooped the Chargers. We'll get to that in a little bit. But what I saw yesterday from the New York Giants was a team that was lacking passion, the team that was not prepared, which you got to put on the coach, and a team that simply just did not look like they wanted to be out there. There was no fight in that team whatsoever. There was no fight. And I understand it's the Rams. I get that. But the Rams played a good game, and the Rams could have easily put up 50 points on them. They ended up, taking out Stafford and putting in John Wolford, who really didn't do anything. Ended up throwing an interception. But what I saw yesterday was a team that, even if they were playing a bad team, Giants would have lost. They were awful yesterday. And changes need to be made. Because yesterday was a reminder to all of us, Dave Gettleman, Joe Judge, this coaching staff needs to be gone at the end of this year. There is no way you can go into next season with Dave Gettleman in charge of all those draft picks you're going to have. I believe 5 in the first 3 rounds. No way he can be controlled of free agency. No way he can be controlled of what he wants to do with his roster. You need to restart if you're the New York Giants. And I would personally say that restart happens now. Start putting in some of these young guys. See what they can do. You're 1-5. I know Joe Judge went on there and said, oh, there's plenty of ball left. What are you going to do? Turn the season around? Win, 8 of your next 9, go 11-6 and make the playoffs? That's not happening. Not happening whatsoever. Giants look lost. Giants look terrible. Joe Judge, Dave Gettleman, coaching staff. Giants are in a big, big, big mess. And that's one thing I will say. As much as I come on here and rant about the Jets, Giants are in a worse situation. Because now what should have been a competitive team this year, what should have been a team that was actually going to compete for the playoffs, is arguably the worst team in the NFL. Jets, we went into this season just hoping to see signs of improvement throughout the year. No one said the expectation was to make the playoffs. Yeah, sure, were we competitive? Yeah, that's what we said the expectation was. But Giants, honestly, some thought they were going to win the NFC East. They're 1-5, they're in last place, and arguably the worst team in the NFL. Changes need to be made if you're the New York Giants. And I don't care how much people like Joe Judge. I know he was a very liked coach when he came in here. A lot of people believed in what he preached. He preached a lot of good things. I will tell you this. In terms of a guy that's going to change the culture, when Joe Judge came in here, he said all the right things. Now, I personally never thought Joe Judge was the guy. I just was never on board. I was never on board of hiring a special teams coach. I never was. So So that's kind of it. But what he said at the beginning of his, Giants run here, since the beginning of last season, he said all the right things, but it just hasn't worked out. And Joe Judge has got to be gone. He's got to be gone after this year. He has to be. You can't sit here and tell me if they win 3 games this year, and whatever that is, you can't tell me if they win 3 games this year, he's back. That's 9 wins in 2 years. Right? Yeah, that just can't happen. 9 wins in 2 years. That would be 9-24 record in 2 years, because if you win 3 games this season, that means you lose 14 games. That'd be 9-24. So simply awful. And that just can't happen. So they got to figure it out. So Giants are in a mess. And one of the things I heard somebody say yesterday, which I actually think is completely accurate, is when they hired Dave Gettleman, he took over a dumpster fire. The Giants were a dumpster fire. That was after Ben McAdoo. That was that whole Odell situation. They were a dumpster fire. That you could really make the argument was just awful. Well, Pat Shermer, they were a dumpster fire. And that was out with the Giants, right? That was their big issue. So the only thing Dave Gettleman has done since he's gotten to the Giants was pour gasoline on that fire. Because I actually feel like in a way it's gotten worse. He comes here, you think he's the guy, does nothing, blows up all these draft picks. He's done nothing good in the draft. Boom. 6-10 last year. Okay, all right, you go out, get a number 1 receiver, barely played, barely has made an impact. You're 1-5 now. Giants right now, not in a good place. So, yesterday, Rams obviously won 38-11. Rams just smoked them. They really did. And there's not much else I could say. There's really not much else I could say. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as the Rams just were the better team, and we knew that going in, but Giants didn't even show fight. And that's one thing you want to see from these teams. When you know you're going into a game, we all knew the Giants were going to beat the Rams. But at least if they made things maybe a little bit interesting. At least maybe if they went into the fourth quarter down by, 10 or down by 13, where one score makes it a one-score game. At least that. Instead, they went into halftime down 28-3. And they went into the third quarter down 31-3. And a late touchdown, a 2-point conversion made it 38-11. So, it's kind of one of those things. At least if you were the Giants yesterday, you lost 31-17. And maybe, you went into halftime 21-3. And maybe you came out, scored 2 touchdowns, made it 21-14. Or, scored 2 touchdowns, made it 21-17, and maybe made it interesting. Or scored a touchdown, 21-14, and maybe they scored. Then maybe you scored. Or at least something. Where it might have been 13, 14-point loss. Not get blown out by 27 and let up 28 points in the second quarter and go into halftime 28-3. Those are the things you got to look at. At least if you lost this game by maybe 13 points. And you look back on it and maybe Jones threw 2 touchdowns. Maybe the Giants look decent. But that what they put out there yesterday, I think might have been one of the worst performances I've seen out of this Giants football team in an extremely long time. And I'm just happy I was able to sit through it as a neutral spectator yesterday. I was just watching the game as just a football fan. Because I've had to sit through a lot of those games. I know how that feels. I had to sit through it last year with the Jets Seahawks. I sat through it this year already with the Jets Broncos. I know that feeling. And Giants fans right now are frustrated. I know that feeling where it's pretty much over by halftime, and you know it's pretty much over and by halftime, and I know that feeling. I can recall, especially last year against the Seahawks. Jets lost that game 40-3. They went into halftime down 28-0 or something. I knew it. This game was over. I knew it. I know that feeling where you're watching the second half with no hope. But I was watching the game yesterday just as a football fan, and what I saw was simply just unacceptable if you're the New York Giants. All right, so Matt Stafford threw for 22 of 28, 251 yards, 11.4 was his average, 4 touchdowns, a pick, got sacked twice. He did a job. Wolford also came in, did nothing, 0 for 2 with a pick. He's their backup quarterback. Kupp had a big day, 9 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Higbee also got on the board a little bit, 5 catches, 36 yards. Woods got 2 catches, 31 yards with a touchdown. Darrell Henderson also had a big day, a touchdown rushing. He had 78 yards rushing and a touchdown, and he also had a receiving touchdown, two catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. So Stafford threw 4 touchdowns, 2 to Kupp, 1 to Woods, 1 to Henderson, and Henderson also punched one in on his own for a touchdown there. That was how the Rams got their scoring, and also a field goal from Matt Gay. He was also 5 for 5 on extra points. And as for the Giants, well, it wasn't good. Jones went 29 of 51, 242 yards, no touchdowns, threw 3 picks, got sacked 4 times, and a rating of 44.7. He had 2 fumbles. I believe. I think one of them he lost, right? I think one of them he lost, and one of them they recovered. So not very good there. Devontae Booker didn't really do much at all. 12 carries, 41 yards. Didn't do much. Elijah Penny got a touchdown. He got the late one there. And other than that, receiving-wise, wasn't good. The leading receiver had 10 catches for 76 yards. That was Sterling Shepard. Kadarius Toney went down. He went down in the first quarter. Had a couple good catches early on. He went down. Injuries continue to hurt the Giants. And, their only scoring came in the fourth quarter with a garbage time touchdown. They converted the 2-point conversion. And that was kind of the story of the day for the New York Giants. Just not able to get any offense going. Defense looked like garbage. Giants look like garbage. Adjustments need to be made with this team. And there's not much else I got to say with that. When you look at this roster right now in the New York Giants, adjustments need to be made, coaching changes need to be made, and frankly, organizational decisions need to be made as well. In terms of looking at the big picture, GM, staff, coaching staff, judge, all those big decisions, changes need to be made. And there's not much else I could say, because what I saw yesterday was simply just awful. And every year this happens with New York football. I know you got the Bills, but out of the Jets and the Giants, every year it happens. And I was talking to somebody today about it. I was talking to somebody I know is a Giants fan, and I was talking to the person today. I said I was talking to them, and we were already talking about what the Giants might do in the draft. And I was like, I think you might want to, not draft a quarterback this year, get a stopgate quarterback next year, maybe like a Foles or a Mariota or who else was my other guy? Or even like a Foles or a Tyrod Taylor, someone like that, someone that can come in for a year, keep your head above water, and then get a quarterback in the next draft, because this year's quarterbacks are such a question mark. So it really is such a question mark, but we'll see how everything goes. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but definitely an interesting situation going on there with the Giants. But every year, week 6, week 7, you're already talking about the draft of next season. That's how it is with the New York football recently. Alrighty, so let's get to the rest of the NFL, because there was a lot of other positive stuff there was more positive stuff that went on this week in the NFL. There's some other stuff that went on in the NFL this weekend, other than the New York Giants getting crushed, which did happen. But anyway, let's get to the other NFL games. Yesterday, the Steelers defeated the Seahawks 23-20 in overtime. Steelers win this game. All right, I'm going to tell you this. Taken away from this game, my takeaway for the Steelers is this. Ben Roethlisberger's still not the guy. He's not. His time is up there. His time is up in Pittsburgh. And I understand yesterday he didn't play that bad. I get that. But still, Ben Roethlisberger's time is up. And I understand they won, and they did. And Najee Harris actually had a pretty good game, and Deontay Johnson did pretty well, and all that good stuff. I understand that. But the more and more I see this Steelers team, the more and more I say, Ben Roethlisberger's career, he's in the way tail end. And the Steelers need to move on. And my takeaway for the Seahawks is, well, your defense needs to be better. They had opportunities yesterday to win that game. Jamal Adams has an opportunity to steal the game with an interception. Bounces off his face mask. Geno Smith actually didn't play that bad yesterday. I know he had the game-losing fumble, but if the Seahawks, if they block for him, like I said with Jones, sometimes, quarterbacks fumbling is not always their fault. But he did have the game-losing fumble, but he did his job. He threw for 209 yards and a touchdown. He did what he needed to do. I don't know what many people expect out of Geno Smith. He got sacked 5 times too. You got to protect the quarterback. Alex Collins had a really good game, 101 yards rushing and a touchdown. Disley got the touchdown for the Seahawks. Seahawks, Steelers, similar situations. Their quarterbacks right now are not great. Geno Smith, not really the best option ever. And Ben Roethlisberger, we all know, getting to the tail end of his career. But Steelers did get the job done. And it's been a constant theme where not much offense, but the defense does just enough to get the job done. Cam Hayward had a sack. Highsmith had a 1.5 sacks. TJ Watt had 2 sacks and a fumble, forced fumble. Wormley had a half a sack as well. And, Steelers got the job done 23-20. By the way, you see TJ Watt punched that one fumble? It was like he wanted it. He was like he was coming in to punch his face. That was a really hard punch. Alrighty, next game here, another overtime game. I believe 3 of them, to be exact, over the weekend. Oh, no, 4 of them. 4 overtime games yesterday. You had, let me see if I can name them. Are these all of them? You had Pittsburgh, like I just mentioned. You had Cowboys beating the Patriots in overtime. You had Vikings, like I just mentioned. Then you had the Jaguars, Dolphins. So you had 4 overtime games right there. Are there any I'm forgetting? Buccaneers, Eagles did not go into overtime. Giants, Bears, Rams did not obviously go into overtime. I think that's kind of it. I don't think there was any other overtime games. So there's 4 overtime games yesterday. And maybe tonight's game will go into overtime to give us 5 for the week, which is pretty good. But either way, Cowboys won against the Patriots yesterday, 35-29. Boy, was this a crazy game. I mean, man, was this a crazy game. This was such an entertaining game. I loved every minute of it. That fourth quarter was just unbelievable. And it really was just unbelievable. It really was crazy what happened in that fourth quarter. So you have Mac Jones throwing the crucial interception, well, not just interception, crucial pick 6 to Trayvon Diggs, who has just been phenomenal this year. You have him throwing the crucial, interception to Trayvon Diggs. And then you had, the crucial, then the next play, the exact next play, they get the ball back, throws it 40 yards downfield, Kendrick Bourne catches the touchdown. And then you had Zerline miss that one kick, which was before all that. Then they go for it again on 4th down and 1, or they don't go for it. They have Zerline kick it. He makes it, barely. And then you go to overtime. Patriots get the ball, or did the Patriots? Yeah, Patriots get the ball first. They don't score. I forget if they went for it on 4th down or if they just punted it away. I'm going to see here. Overtime. Yeah, see, that's not it. I can see all the play-by-plays. No, this is just scoring plays. I forget. I don't know if they went for it on 4th down and they didn't get it, or if they punted. I think they went for it on 4th down probably, and they didn't get it, or something like that. I forget exactly. Then the Cowboys go up the field. They score a touchdown. Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb, and they got the job done. And that was just an entertaining game. And I'll tell you what, man. I've said this all along. And the Titans are the same way right now. Titans offense hasn't done exactly what we expected them to do. But, I've said this all along. You look at the Cowboys. Their offense is legit. They are. Look at the weapons Zach Scott. I was thinking Zach Wilson for some reason. Look at the weapons Dak's got. Look at the weapons look at the weapons on that roster. I mean, even their defense, they got some guys. Dan Quinn's taken over. That defense is completely different. That defense has been unbelievable this season, and they win again yesterday. And the Cowboys are running away with the NFC East. And frankly, they're up there in the entire NFC. And it was on full display yesterday, yet again, with the Cowboys getting the job done, 35-29 against the Patriots. Alrighty, Raiders beat the Broncos 34-24. With all this stuff going on throughout the week, with John Gruden getting, resigning, and the Raiders, get taken over by an interim and all that stuff. I always live by this, right? I picked the Broncos actually to win this game. I thought with all the stuff going on, with all the outside noise, with everything just going on, switching coaches, Gruden not being there, kind of just a weird situation in Vegas, I had a feeling that the Raiders were going to lose this game and kind of take a little bit of a dud. I also had that feeling, though, that There's a lot of veterans on the roster. There's a lot of guys that have been through a lot in their career. Derek Carr's been with the Raiders for his entire career. He knows the organization well. So that part of me, too, is like, this team really isn't that young. And sure enough, the Raiders did a great job. And these sometimes are the wins that you really look at that are the difference between a good team and a team that's really solid. Because when you go out and you have all this stuff, it doesn't even have to be a coach resigning. It could even be one of your players getting traded, or it could even be somebody getting injured, and maybe it's one of your star players, and that's all you hear about the whole week. Or it could be anything. It could be anything. Anytime that outside noise hits a locker room, it could cause problems. It really could. And it didn't with the Raiders. And you got to give props there. You got to give credit to where credit's due. Because the Raiders went out, they blocked out the outside noise, they obviously had a good week of practice, and they got the job done. And for the Broncos, there's reason to be concerned. Because this Broncos team looks nothing like the team we saw in the first 3 weeks. And I think I have an idea why. I don't think this team's that good. They beat a lot of bad teams those first 3 weeks. Jaguars, Giants, Jets, all rebuilding teams. So now you face against some good teams. Broncos don't look the same. They need to fix stuff, and they need to fix it fast before they really sink. Raiders win 34-24. Cardinals beat the Browns 37-14. Maybe it's just me. Watch, I'll say this, and the Cardinals next week will lay a dud against the Texans. But I'm just going to ask you this. I don't think it's crazy to say that there's a chance that the Cardinals go into their bye week undefeated. 9-0. I don't think it's, or not undefeated, 9-0. 11-0, rather. I don't think it's outrageous to say. Let me read to you their upcoming schedule here. Texans at home. Probably a win. Packers are going to be tough, but beatable. 49ers, winnable. You already beat them this season. Panthers, winnable. Seahawks, winnable. Your bye week. There's not a game on there where I see where I'm like, it's really tough. I think they could very well beat all 5 of those teams, especially the Texans, 49ers, and Seahawks. Now, maybe Wilson's back by week 11, because they do say he's ahead of his game, which 4 weeks would be about a month. So maybe he's back by then, but let's just say Geno Smith's playing, and whatever the case may be, I'm going to say Cardinals probably win that game. But that's that. I mean, look, those are the 5 games before the bye week. I think there's a real good chance that they go into their bye week 11-0. I don't think it's outrageous to say. And then coming out of the bye week, this is who they have. Bears, winnable. Rams, going to be tough, but they beat them earlier, but we'll see. Lions, winnable. Colts, winnable. Cowboys, going to be tough. Probably going to face the Seahawks team then, definitely, with Russell Wilson. That's the last week of the season. I might be getting a little ahead of myself, but it's not outrageous to say the Cardinals, if they keep playing the way they're playing, can win 14 games this year. And I don't think it's crazy to say they might go into their bye week 11-0. I don't think it's crazy to say. Do I think they'll go undefeated? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think it's possible for them maybe to only lose max 3 games this year. I think it's possible. The way they've been playing, this team's legit. It really is. I mean, look at what this team's bring. They got the Texans. That's a win. Okay, that's a win. Packers are going to be tough, but I mean, even the Packers, they haven't been anything electrifying this season by any means. And if you can take down the Rams away in Los Angeles, you could definitely take it down Green Bay at home. 49ers, Panthers, and Seahawks, all winnable games. Now, are the Panthers going to be easy? No, Panthers are a feisty team, and we saw that yesterday. But with the way the Cardinals are playing, is that winnable? Yes. Seahawks, definitely winnable. And the 49ers, they beat them already. So I think there's a good chance. And if not, I think there's a good chance that they can go into their bye week 10-1. And it was on display yesterday again. Kyler Murray throwing for 4 touchdowns, 229 yards rather. Just doing his job, doing his thing. And the Browns right now, Baker Mayfield, really, really injured. Left, he has the shoulder, partially torn labrum. It stinks to see because, without him, Browns got to turn to Case Keenum, and that's not really what you want. So we'll see what all happens there. But the Cardinals continue to roll. They win 37-14. Vikings won yesterday, 34-28 against the Panthers. Man, was this a really good game. I wanted to see the Panthers win, as I was predicted them to win. And I kind of was ready to chalk that on up as a loss in my game picks. And then on 4th down and 10 and their own 10, 15 yard line, Darnold throws a dart 30 yards down across the middle. And they drove down the field, scored the touchdown. And then they couldn't get the job done in overtime. But, hey, the Panthers showed a lot of fight. They really did. And, you look at this Panthers schedule coming up. It's very, 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 a lot of winnable games coming up here, the Panthers. Let me just show you. Giants, very winnable. Falcons, very winnable. Patriots, not as winnable, but winnable. Cardinals, as I just talked about with the Cardinals, not going to be easy. Then Washington and Miami. Those are all winnable games. Washington will be interesting. That's not that easy. But they are on a 3-game losing streak right now, but they can easily turn this thing around. Then bye week. You come out of your bye week, and this is it. Falcons, winnable. Bills, tough. Buccaneers, tough. Saints, winnable. Buccaneers, tough. So their second half of their schedule, after their bye week, going to be tough. But specifically these next 4 games for the Panthers is huge in their season. Because they're 3-3 right now. There's a good chance they go into that Cardinals game 6-3. There's a really good chance. And the chance of you winning that game is going to be low. The expectation probably is that the Cardinals win that game. So what? You're 6-4. Washington's tough. Okay, 7-4. I'll just give you the benefit of doubt. Miami probably 8-4 as well. And you come out of the bye, Falcons 9-4. Okay, Bills tough. Broncos, Buccaneers tough. Bills on the road. Bucks home. Probably 2 losses. So that would be 9-6. Then that Saints week really turns into a big game. You win that game, you get to 10 wins. Then maybe you catch the Bucks resting their starters last week of the season. These next 4 games are big for the Panthers. Giants, Falcons, Patriots, Cardinals. Really big. If you go 2-2, that's fine. I don't know if you get wins against the Giants, Falcons, and you lose Patriots, Cardinals, okay. If you go 1-3, really bad. If you go 3-1, really good. If you go 4-0, and boom, you find yourself 7-3 going into going back home to play Washington. That's a big opportunity. Really, next 6 games before their Week 13 bye week are big. If you find a way to go 4-2 in those 6 games, you're in good position. Because then what? You find yourself 7-5. Come out of the bye week, you get a winnable game. Boom, right there. Boom, 8-5. Got to find a way to win at least 2 more games. Got to find a way to win 1 more game out of the remaining 4 games left on your schedule. Which Bills will be tough, Bucks will be tough, but you do have the Saints, and you'll probably beat the Falcons. And maybe you squeak one, and maybe you go on the road and squeak one out against the Bucks if they're benching their starters or whatever. Possibility, and you never know. It's the National Football League. Things can be crazy. But big week next week for Carolina, because they have the Giants. You got to take advantage there. You got to take care of business and move on. Vikings, on the other hand, their schedule brutal. They got a bye week. And then Cowboys, Ravens, Chargers. 3 really difficult games. Packers, going to be difficult. I didn't say it was going to be as difficult for Cardinals, but that's because it's the Cardinals. 49ers, that's winnable. Lions, winnable. Steelers, winnable. Bears, that's actually not going to be a gimme either. Rams, tough. Packers, tough. Bears. Vikings got a really tough schedule. They really got a tough schedule. And they are 3-3. They've won 3 of their last 4. So they are on a little bit of a roll here, but Vikings, too, another team in an interesting spot. Chiefs took care of business against Washington. Washington had this game in the bag. They really did. They went into halftime rolling. They went to halftime 13-10. Penalties, undisciplined football, blew it for them. 21 unanswered by the Chiefs coming out in the second half. The Washington really had a chance to put the Chiefs in a state of emergency. If the Chiefs would have fallen to 2-4, you realize what the NFL world would be like today? It would be crazy. It would be like it was crumbling down. But the Chiefs do get the job done, 31-13. The Chiefs too. You look at their upcoming schedule. They've got a couple of opportunities here. Titans, who have struggled this season. You got the Giants. Those are 2 wins. Those are 2 very winnable games. Packers aren't going to be easy. Then you got the Raiders. Cowboys, not going to be easy. Raiders probably win. Cowboys going to be tough. Then bye week. Then Broncos, right? Chiefs too. Another schedule here where they get a chance to pick up a couple wins and really get back to being the Kansas City Chiefs we've all known for the past couple seasons. As for Washington, these are a couple big games coming up for them. They got a couple big games. I mean, they're 2-4 right now. So they got to find a way to take at least one of these games against either Green Bay this weekend or Denver. They're on the road for both of them. So they're away against Denver, and they're away against Denver, or away against Green Bay next week, and then they're away against Broncos. So they got to find a way to take at least one of those games. You cannot go into your bye week 2-6 and then come out of your bye week playing the Buccaneers, Panthers back-to-back. That can't happen. So this is huge for Washington. I don't think people realize the magnitude of these next two games for Washington before their bye week are massive. Because then you come out of your bye week and you got to play Tampa. You are home, but it's Tampa. So you're 2-4 right now. If you find a way to split these 2 games, realistically, lose against Green Bay this week, win against Denver. You're 3-5. Come out of the bye week, okay, if you lose, you're 3-6, not the end of the world. Panthers, not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. Then Seahawks is winnable, especially if they're without Wilson. So that would put you like 4-7-ish. And then you got to find a way to get an upset. Raiders, 5-7. Cowboys would be tough. Then down the stretch, you have the Eagles, which is a win. Cowboys on the road. Maybe you take it's going to be tough for Washington. These next 2 games are big. Because if you lose these next 2 games, you go into your bye week 2-6, come out 2-7, maybe go 2-8, that's bad. They got to find a way to take at least one of these games to at least stay alive if you're Washington. Especially with the Cowboys playing like the way they're playing. They can't just continue to lose like this. They can't. They got to find a way to get back on track. As for Packers, Bears won 24-14. Did what they needed to do. And, the Bears lost. The Bears are just one of those rebuilding teams right now. They really are. Bears another team, too. Look at their bye week. Bears are another one of those teams. If you look where they're at right now, they're in a tough situation. I mean, just listen. They got the Bucks coming up. Not going to be probably a loss. Then Niners. That's winnable. Not going to be easy, but it's winnable. Steelers is winnable. So you got to find a way to take at least 2 out of the next 3. Or at least even 1. Because then if you go into your bye week 4-5, you go into your bye week 4-5, you come out, you got the Ravens, not going to be easy, 4-6, then you get the win against the Lions. Then Cardinals, Packers, both going to be tough. So that'd be like 5-8. Vikings winnable, Seahawks, by then Wilson will probably be back. I don't know, 6-8-ish. They're gonna need to pull off an upset. And Green Bay's Green Bay. Right, they're 5-1 right now. They got a game against Washington, then Arizona, then Kansas City. And these next, Green Bay doesn't have any easy schedule by any means. I mean, it's a big week for Green Bay, actually. It is. This is a big week. I'm not saying that they're going to not make the playoffs if they don't win this week, but listen. If Green Bay goes, if they're 5-1 right now, if they were to lose next week and lose the week after that, they'd be 5-3. And they got Kansas City. They might be 5-4. So, Green Bay got to make sure that they stay on track. This week's actually big. This can't be a look. They can't get caught look ahead. If you're Green Bay, you cannot get caught looking ahead coming up. You got a Thursday night game coming up. You got Washington this upcoming Sunday. Then you have a Thursday night game against Arizona on the road. You can't get caught looking ahead against Arizona. Because then if you lose that game, well, guess what? You got to play Kansas City next. And you can't possibly lose 3 straight, go 5-4. Seattle Vikings probably wins. Okay, 7-4. Then lose against the Rams, probably. Possibility. Then you look at their schedule down the stretch. Ravens, Browns, Vikings, Lions. Not crazy difficult, but Packers got to make sure they keep going here, too. Texans, Colts won 31-3. Colts got back on track. They did. Texans are Texans are just the Texans, right? They're just not playing good. They're They're really not. And they've got a game coming up here against Arizona, then Rams and Dolphins and Titans, Jets, Colts, Seahawks, Jaguars, Chargers, 49ers, Titans. Not many wins in there. And the Colts, on the other end, they get back on track. So Colts move to 2-4. And a big matchup this week against San Francisco. Because if you beat San Francisco Sunday Night Football, then you have Tennessee, then you have the Jets, then you have the Jaguars, Bills, Bucks, Texans, bye week, Patriots, Cardinals, Raiders, Jaguars. An opportunity for Indianapolis to pick up some games as well. We'll finish out here with a little Bengals beat the Lions 34-11. Chargers beat the Chargers 34. Ravens, well, kind of really though. Chargers did beat the Chargers. Ravens beat the Chargers 34-6. Jaguars beat the Dolphins 23-20. So those are kind of some of your blowout games there. I mean, Jaguars-Dolphins was a good game. And Jaguars did not go into overtime. So I messed that up. So only 3 overtime games over the weekend. Because Jaguars game was on overtime. So I apologize for that. And then tonight we got the Bills, Titans. Bills come in this game 4-1. Titans are 3-2. Bills are 6-point favorites. The over/under is 53. This game comes on today, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Let's see here. 69% of people think the Bills will win. Give me the Bills. By the way, these are my game picks updates. My game picks update. I am currently 63-60 overall in my game picks. Last week I went 12-4. This week I'm 9-4. Obviously, since 4 teams had bye weeks. Right now I'm 9-4. So tonight, hoping to go 10-4, and that'd be really good. So right now I'm 63-60 overall. All right. So I'll get to fantasy next. All right. So we're gonna get to some of the games here. Let's see here. So let's get to some of the games on tonight in terms of just hockey and the playoff games and stuff like that. And then we'll really get to fantasy football and get to all that good stuff. So let's pull this up here. All right, so for the MLB tonight, we got the Red Sox, Astros. I'm actually going to give Astros a win. I understand Red Sox are home and all that stuff, but I just like the Astros lineup better. I like them overall as a team better. And, I mean, I understand Red Sox won last night or the other night and all that stuff, but I think the Astros are the better team. And that's kind of my thought process on this. So give me the Astros here. Really good series going on with the Dodgers. And, I mean, Dodgers-Braves. And, I mean, you know, this is what I'm talking about. This is where playoffs, anything happen, right? Dodgers expected to win it. You know, we were all expecting Dodgers to win it here. I predicted it. I think many other people predicted it. And the Braves are up 2-0. And it's been on 2 walk-off hits. So Dodgers need to get their bullpen right. They need to get their pitching right. Because right now, too many late-game opportunities that the Braves are taking advantage of, and they're winning those games. So you don't get those walk-offs. It's a completely different series, and we're talking about a 2-0 Dodgers lead now instead of a 2-0 Braves lead. But the Braves do lead that series 2-0, and it's tied 1-1 in Boston. With Boston back in Boston tonight. There's a big game. Game 3, I've always said, if you're 1-1, Game 3 is huge. You win Game 3, sets you up where Game 4 is almost pretty much a must-win for the other team. And it's almost like then Game 5, if it does get to that, then Game 6 is massive. Because then if it's 2-2, then it's like whoever wins Game 6, yeah, it's like kind of big. Especially if Red Sox would win Game 6 and go back to Fenway. If you would to win Game 5, and if Red Sox would to go back to Fenway or whatever for Game 6, or I believe that's how whatever it was. But tonight's a big game. Because you win tonight, then all you got to do is tomorrow, if you win, you put your team, almost like the team's backs already are against the wall. So that's a big game. Alrighty. So as for college football, over the weekend, Utah, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, North Carolina State, Alabama, Georgia, Baylor, Purdue, Michigan State, LSU, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Auburn, San Diego State, and Oregon all got wins. Some big upsets over the weekend. You had LSU beating Florida. You had Purdue beating Iowa. You had, not really an upset, but Cincinnati knocking off Oklahoma State, knocking off number 25 Texas. Again, another blown lead by Texas there. You had Auburn knocking off Arkansas. You had Utah knocking off Arizona State. You had Oklahoma destroying TCU, but with their other quarterback who just really has been really good. So, a lot of really good games, and Cincinnati now is in the top 2. So that's definitely interesting to watch there, how the rest of the season plays out. Also, NHL tonight, Rangers play against the Maple Leafs. Rangers come in this game 1-1-1. Maple Leafs coming in this game 2-1-0. Austin Matthews is debuts tonight of the season. He was out the first couple games. 7 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network. You also find us on MSG. 69% of people think the Maple Leafs will win. Give me the Rangers. Why not? We also got Flyers, Kraken. I'll give Flyers to win. Flames, Ducks. Give Flames to win. Coyotes, Blues. I'll give Blues to win. And let's get to fantasy football. By the way, I did a fantasy basketball draft. Didn't do fantasy hockey this year. Never was able to get a league together. Kind of a little disappointing because I wanted to do it again, but was just never able to get a league together. So, anyway. So, as for fantasy football, in my I'll start off with the good news, actually, first. My PPR league, which I'm 1-4, and I needed a win this week, I got the win. So, I'm winning right now, I'm losing right now, 116-111, but I got Tannehill and Tyler Bass going tonight. My opponent's got no one left, so I just need Tannehill and Tyler Bass to get me 6 points, and I win. And more than likely, they will, because I got a quarterback and a kicker, and more than likely, that's going to result in 6 or more fantasy points. Bass and Tannehill could very well even go over that mark. So that's what I need there. J.D. McKissick, Khalil Herbert, my 2 running backs, are the big storyline there. Thielen got me 29 points. Amari Cooper got me 10 points. Dalton Schultz got me 12. Marquise Brown, 7.5. Dallas defense got me 13. And that was kind of that. I mean, just a really, 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 really good game there. From my team. Khalil Herbert acquisition I made because I had so many running backs down. Carson on IR, Kamara on bye week. I needed a running back, and I got one. I was trying to trade for one. I was close to getting one, but I got one there. So I personally benched A.J. Brown in this league. So if you have A.J. Brown playing, I would bench him if he's not playing, obviously. Now, if you have him in and you have no one else to play, well, it is what it is. I mean, personally, I wasn't even going to play him anyway against a tough Bills secondary, and just the way he's played this season, I wasn't going to play him anyway. So it's your call. If you have like an Emmanuel Sanders or like an A.J. Brown, I would take Sanders, personally. Especially whatever this new injury or illness is with him. There might be that slim chance he doesn't get as much playing time because he got added on the injury report so late. I personally would take it safe and play somebody else, especially if you're in a situation where you need 10, 12 points. A.J. Brown can be that guy. It's just super risky, especially now. This is one of these things where you got to monitor the rest of the day here, where it could change any minute. So right now, this is the most recent report. Brown has been added to the Titans injury report for Monday night's game against the Bills and is now listed as questionable due to an illness. Jim Wyatt of Titans official site report. So this is the other thing. While the team hasn't specified the nature of the wideout's listed illness, his status will need to be closely monitored as Monday night's 8:15 Eastern kickoff approaches. Also listed as questionable for the contest is Chester Rogers' groin, leaving Julio Jones, Marcus Johnson, and Nick Westbrook Eichen and Josh Reynolds as the team's top receivers options, minus a Week 6 injury designation. So we'll see what happens. Now, if A.J. Brown's out, that means more opportunities for Julio. So we'll see how all that goes. But definitely a big twist because a guy that wasn't even expected to be out is now out. Or now questionable. All right, as for my other league. So my other league, I'm in a little bit of an interesting situation. My other league, I'm currently losing 90-71. My opponent's got a 63% chance of winning. I got a 37. So here's a big thing with my other league. Is if I got Dawson Knox and Tyler Bass going tonight, my opponent's got nobody else going. So if Dawson Knox and Tyler Bass need to get me 20 points, just 20. They need to get me 21. They need to get me 20 points. Now Dawson Knox last week got me 22 points. So I am feeling optimistic. I do have deep down inside, I feel like there's a good chance. Tyler Bass also had a week where he got me 16. Ideally, Knox needs to give me like 11 and Bass could give me 7 or 8 and I would get the job done. Actually, no, it wouldn't. Knox needs to give me like 11 and Bass would need to give me about 10. If Knox gives me 13 and Bass gives me about 8, that gets the job done. Anything over 20. 20. No less than 20. So 20 is going to get the job done. 19 won't. 20 will. So, Knox, ideally, if Knox can go out and give me 22 points again like he did last week, that would just be the easiest thing ever. And Bass just don't miss any kicks. That would be perfect, but we'll see how everything goes. So that's also another interesting thing. I know Titans are good at tight ends, but Knox has had a really good season, and Allen's targeted him a lot. So I just like that matchup there with Knox in there tonight. And obviously I dropped Tanya and got Knox in this league. So that's that. As for kind of my rundown on my team here, Herbert got me 12, like I said, non-PPR league. So Gibson got 2. Khalil Herbert got me 16. DeAndre Hopkins got 17. Jefferson got me 6. Cooper got me 5. Knox hasn't played yet. Boyd got me 0. He had 1 catch for 7 yards. And Dallas defense got me 13. So, that's kind of that. Hindsight 2020. Should have started Marvin Jones Jr. Matthew Stafford, but that didn't even cross my mind. Well, I got to admit, Marvin Jones Jr. did for a little bit. I kind of was thinking about who to start over him, but I never really would have. I would have never done it. If you would ask me, even if you would ask me who would I start, I would always start Tyler Boyd. I mean, Marvin Jones Jr. struggled the past couple weeks, so that's that. By the way, I did fantasy basketball. So I have I'm in a fantasy basketball league. So I did my draft yesterday before all the games were on. And so this is my team. What my team's looking at. I did get the first overall pick. I took Nikola Jokic. So this is my team for my fantasy basketball. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Donovan Mitchell, Brandon Ingram, John Collins, Nikola Jokic, John Morant, Buddy Hield, Darius Garland, Miles Bridges, Joe Harris. And my bench is Rashawn Holmes, Marvin Bagley, and Bojan Bogdanovic. So those are my guys. My core is Jokic, Collins, Morant, Alexander, Mitchell, Ingram. Other than that, Hield, Garland, Bridges, Harris are probably my other guys, and then my bench is my bench. So that's kind of that. What I am thinking, though, is Kawhi Leonard's on waivers, because obviously he's hurt. So what I've been thinking is to go pick, I'm going to put it, interested in, and go get Kawhi. So Kawhi right now is ahead of schedule to recover from a torn ACL. So he may return to practice around March or April if things go well, but that's far from a guarantee. So, I mean, here's my other thing, is he probably won't be ready until a really long time. March, April, probably. So it's obviously October now, so there's a lot of time. But he's definitely a guy that I will keep my eye out for as the season goes on. Because you can get Kawhi, that's huge. So we'll see. But it's definitely something that's big. So, and then you got, those are kind of that. But it's funny, because when you go through here and look at top available players and you see Kawhi, it's like, wow. And it's kind of funny, because when I did the draft, I knew Kawhi tore his ACL, but when I did the draft, I kind of completely forgot about it. So, didn't even cross my mind. And I was like, after the draft, I looked at who's available, and I'm like, oh, Kawhi. And I was like, yeah, he got tore his ACL. For a second there, I thought, oh, Kawhi's available. And I was about to be like, oh. And then I forgot. He tore his ACL, so he's done. But that's my fantasy basketball team. So hopefully it gets the job done. First year with fantasy basketball, I won it all. Last year, I didn't do as well. And this year, I'm hoping to win it. So, we'll see. But, yeah, that's what I got for fantasy basketball. That's that. That's what I got for fantasy basketball and fantasy football. Enjoy all the sports on tonight. Rangers, Maple Leafs, and the Rangers, Maple Leafs, along with the Bills, Titans, along with some playoff baseball. So a lot on tonight. Enjoy it all. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.